President Biden undergoes routine colonoscopy. Well, sometimes you gotta be the ass, and sometimes they gotta look up the ass. So let's read about the ass. Friday, November 19th, 2021. President Joe Biden underwent a routine colonoscopy on Friday and briefly transferred power to Vice President Kamala Harris while he was sedated for the procedure, the White House said. Great, Kamala, good job. Take over that temporary power while he's farting out during the hour. Anyway, the colonoscopy was part of the Biden... Okay, I guess I'm going to start rapping there. The colonoscopy was part of Biden's first routine physical exam as president and took place at Walter Reed National Military Center. Imagine that. So, let's keep on going. As was the case with President George W. Dumbass Bush, President George W. Bush had the same asshole procedure done in 2002 and 2007. He was the double ass. Wow. How? So, anyway, and following the procedure set out in the Constitution, President Biden will transfer power to Vice President for a brief period of time when he's under anesthesia. White House Press Secretary Jen, that one there? Now my screen's, okay. Jen here sat before the procedure, said, holy shit. She didn't say holy shit, I'm just saying I can't read. Said before the procedure, the Vice President will work from her office in the West Wing during this time. Yeah, probably because all the farts go in the other direction. According to the Associated Press, the president was under anesthesia for an hour and 25 minutes, during which time power was transferred to Harris. Biden is the oldest person to serve as president and will turn 79 on Saturday, according to the AP. Man, happy birthday, Jasmine, today, because today's my daughter's birthday. She's not 79, but she's 22. Yippee! I lost my place in the article, though. Harris in the White... According to the AP, Pasaki, this one right here, said he resumed his duties after speaking with Harris and White House Chief of Staff Ron at approximately 11:35. Biden had his last physical in December 2019. That exam found him to be healthy and vigorous. I bet he was vigorous after that finger dinger. But noted that since 2003, he has had episodes of atrial fibrillation, an irregular heart rhythm that if left untreated, increases a person's risk of stroke or heart attack, the Associated Press reported. Yeah, they showed that on iPet Goat, too. If you remember the scene where the president changes from dumbass to Biden, well, not to Biden, he didn't turn to Biden, to Obama, after he spins around, you see the background where the chalkboard is, and under it, it shows the heart, and it shows the heart defects. Maybe I'll post that clip in here, too. Biden's primary care physician, Dr. Kevin O'Connor, said at the time that the president took a blood thinner to prevent blood clots that could lead to stroke. Biden did have life-saving surgery in 1988 to repair 2 brain aneurysms, weak bulges in arteries, one of them leaking. Biden has never had a recurrence, and his doctor said, citing a test in 2014 that examined his arteries. Of course he would have brain problems. He's president. He has to be conditioned somehow. Harris made history during the short time she served as acting president on Friday. She is the first woman to be vice president, as well as the first person of color and person of South Asian descent. That's what they're telling you in this article, but that's bullshit because there have been presidents that were women prior to the ones we have heard of. Plus, there's more presidents. There's like, what, 7 of them left out? But that's a whole different subject. Back to the article. Harris is scheduled to travel to Ohio later today after Biden resumes his duty, the AP reported. Biden is scheduled to take part this afternoon in the annual pardoning of Thanksgiving turkeys. 2 Thanksgiving turkeys. Former President Donald Trump refused to go under anesthesia when he underwent a colonoscopy during his term in office. Yes, he wanted to feel that anal probe all the way around. But that's not in the article. That's just me saying. Anyway, according to a book from former press secretary Stephanie Grisham, Trump did not want to hand power over to his vice president Mike Pence. Stubborn motherfuckers during the 2019 procedure. Man, he's stubborn. You can't have power, so I'm going to take this fingering and hurt, and I don't care. But whatever. Egos are a hell of a thing. But go ahead and get fingered if you must, assholes. He also kept the colonoscopy itself under wraps. Yeah, probably in a condom never mind. Worried that late night comedians would make fun of him. Go figure. No jokes. No jokes here, you guys. I'll keep going. As part of the constitutional procedure, Biden signed a letter to the leaders of Senate and House of Representatives. Excuse me, I really just accidentally burped while reading that. Okay, this is giving me pressure. Excuse me. I apologize. Pardon me. That's what I think of the House of Representatives, informing them that Harris is the acting president. You bet she's acting, while he is unconscious and unable to discharge his duties. I bet his duties are being discharged with the probe. Fucking A. Biden then sent them another letter after awakening from the procedure, resuming his duties. I bet he also sent flowers and a thank you card to the doctor. Oh boy, do you want some chocolates with that?
Some more breaking news to report this Friday night, this time on the health of President Biden, who received a physical exam today, his first since taking office as the oldest first-term president in history. I want to talk about the results with Chief Medical Correspondent Dr. Sanjay Gupta, who's also author of the fascinating new book, World War C, Lessons from COVID-19 Pandemic and How to Prepare for the Next One. So Sanjay, what can you tell us about the results of this physical?
Well, we had some idea of some of the president's past medical history. We also know that he's the oldest first-term president. So putting those two things together, there were specific things that I think they were sort of targeting. We know that he has this history of reflux, for example. We know that he has a history of atrial fibrillation. They were focused on the fact that his gait, his walking, Anderson, seems to have changed a bit. They described it as being less fluid, stiffer gait. We also know he takes this medication for his cholesterol, and he had a colonoscopy. So those were sort of the major things that came out of that. And there were a few findings. His reflux is still persistent, which is why they think he's been coughing a lot. You may hear him clearing his throat a lot during speeches. That seems to be the cause of that. As far as his gait being changed, they think he's developed some arthritis in his lower back. But the other big things, his atrial fibrillation appears stable. He has a history of having his brain surgery, having aneurysms operated back in the late 80s. That appears to have not changed. And then again, this colonoscopy for which he was sedated, had a colonoscopy and also had an endoscopy as well. So those are the major things that they sort of put into the report, Anderson.
Obviously, there's been a lot of focus on his cognitive abilities, questions raised by opponents and others. In 2018, the former president had a test that measured mental acuity. Was that part of today's test?
It doesn't seem like it. I read pretty carefully through the doctor's report, and they mentioned neurological exam, but that was more in terms of testing motor strength and sensation and things like that. President Trump had something known as the Montreal Cognitive Assessment. It's sort of a screening test for dementia. And, there was no mention of that sort of thing here. It is a constant point of discussion, I can tell you, within the geriatrics communities. I wrote this book last year about brain health, and one of the things that kept coming up was, should sort of these types of screening tests, cognitive screening tests, be more commonly done? And there's many in that community who believe starting at age 65, there should be some sort of screening that's done. Dr. Ronald Peterson, who runs the Alzheimer's Clinic at Mayo, has been somebody who's talked about that. But as far as we know, for President Biden, we didn't see any kind of ass.
Vote me one. Vote me one. Vote me one. Shame on. Shame on. Shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you. Vote me, take it, vote again. Take it, vote again. Take it, vote again. Take it, vote again. Take it, vote again.
So, have you ever taken a poop, right? And it don't come out? It's just up and it's stuck.